In Yellowstone Season 5 Part Two's first episode, we learned about the unfortunate fate of John Dutton, who was found dead in his governor's mansion. The audience was later informed that it was Sarah who hired a professional hitman company to take care of John. The end of the last episode saw Beth crying in Rip's arms, perhaps in the most emotional scene of the episode. Kelly Riley once again proved that she is a great actress. In this week's episode, titled The Apocalypse of Change, we went back in time to 6 weeks ago when Rip and the ranch hands were in the Four Sixes ranch and Beth went to see him. Despite spending a good chunk of the episode in the past, we were able to return to the present, most importantly to Beth and Casey's plan to deal with their father's death, to be more specific, to deal with their father's killers. Last week, we saw that Casey was not ready to blame Jamie yet. He didn't believe that Jamie would be able to pull off such a heinous act on his own. But what happened in this episode changed his mind. Let's go back to the beginning with Rip and the rest in Four Sixes. Rip goes to look for Teeter in her tent only to find her frozen, scared to move because a rattlesnake is on top of her. Honestly, I praise her for her courage because I would have died dead on that spot if that snake had been on top of me. Fortunately, Rip took care of the situation but was quite angry at Teeter for leaving her flap open. The same Montana, we are told once again. Things are different around here. Peter's tent is infested with rattlesnakes and the only person happy about it is Gator, ready to fry the snakes up for a meal. Then we see Beth on the road being reckless with the speed limit, and of course she gets pulled off by a cop. As she gets ready to use her cleavage, the cop turns out to be a woman, but Beth only gets a warning after the cop learns that Beth is headed to Four Sixes to go see her husband. The cop is grateful for anyone who works at the ranch, as cattle ranchers are highly respected there. Honestly, I love this scene, but I have two issues with it. First of all, why didn't Beth remember the name of the ranch and had to look it up on her phone? Last season, there was a whole scene with her showing the Four Sixes website to her father, showing how much money they made. She also must have known where her husband is. This was a bit silly to me. Also, it seems like this was the first instance of the episode where Taylor Sheridan is trying to sell Four Sixes to us. Does that make sense? He either wants us all to go to Four Sixes Steakhouse in Vegas and pay $98 for a ribeye, or is preparing us all for the upcoming spin-off Four Sixes. Either way, that product placement was no joke. Nonetheless, I did enjoy seeing Beth and Rip carefree away from Montana, and it did seem like Beth wanted to live there in the future. Do you think this was another way to tell us where Beth and Rip are headed after Season 5 Part 2? Do tell me your theories in the comments. Also, how the hell is this Rip's first time going out of Montana? Did Taylor Sheridan forget how many times Rip went to Wyoming to dump bodies at the train station? As far as I know, Wyoming is a different state, and I also remember him going to North Dakota to drop his father's ashes. Did Rip think those were all places in Montana? Anyway, let's go back to the present where more exciting things are happening. In Montana, Lloyd is working with a vicious Mustang, and for some reason, I always get sad when I watch his scenes. Just look at the scene where he talked to Rip. He says, "I've been here my whole life." He doesn't know anything else. Where could he go? Meanwhile, we see the return of John's mistress, Summer. Would you believe I had actually forgotten about her? I was like, where did she come from? It was really weird of John to keep her on house arrest and her not checking her own documents. I fear the possibility of her being pregnant. I know she left, but do you think she'll be pregnant and return somehow? That would pose so many problems for the ranch's future. I don't want that at all, but what do you think? There's also a heartwarming scene of Carter and Rip. I especially loved the end part when Rip talked about how so many people have tried to be like John, but not one of them succeeded. I love the father-son dynamic between them, though I would also want to see scenes of Beth and Carter. Maybe that dynamic will be explored more in the upcoming episodes. Another heartbreaking scene takes place with Casey's family. The fact that Monica offered to go with Casey meant so much to him. Casey's talk with Tate revealed that Tate isn't sure about running the ranch. He's the next in line to take over John's legacy, but he cannot think about his future before figuring out who killed his grandfather. Do you think he will decide to take over the ranch in the end? Then the confrontation. I mean, I was waiting for this moment, and Beth did not disappoint. The part where she advised Jamie to close the door, but Jamie was like, nope, I need witnesses. And that secretary probably told that to everyone in the office. We saw Beth forcing Jamie to tell her what he did. Did he kill their father? Does he have the courage to admit it? She gave him 3 chances with 3 slaps on his face, but he couldn't even look her in the eye. Another scene of Beth abusing Jamie, just what I needed from Yellowstone Season 5 Part 2. The confrontation with Sarah was especially intriguing because Beth understood that Sarah had a role in her father's death. There was no confirmation, but she knew, she felt it. When she let Casey know, Casey got the help of a military friend who knows about the hitman business. He will learn for sure what happened to John. That was left to the next episode. With Casey on the way to the ranch with his family and Beth getting ready for her revenge, we learned that Jamie is going to run for governor and Market Equities is ready to back him up. There are only 4 more episodes and the past 2 episodes felt like place setting for what's to come. I'm expecting first Sarah to die. She's been depicted as a villain for some time now and her end must come. I expect Jamie to die as well, and what Beth said in this episode must be foreshadowing. She will kill him and her face will be the last face he will ever see. How do you think this season will end? If you want to learn about the leaks from the finale, you should check out this video.